Hey, welcome back to the Metro Icon Podcast. I'm here with Mojo, looking all big, and I totally woke him up from a nap. But we are here with this podcast episode release, and man, it has been a struggle. It's been about 17 days since we moved into the new spot. We just got air conditioning. It has affected our day-to-day. Literally even tried recording a podcast episode with a library bar regular of mine, and my camera equipment couldn't even work in the heat. And Mojo was pretty miserable, but we tried to make it comfortable. Did we try to make it comfortable for you? Yes, you did. Yes, we did. So make sure you guys are following me on my website, www.theshowman.live, or on my Instagram handle, @Shawn Kay Do It All, to get live updates of events that are coming up. A lot of great shows, but of course, you know about my weeklies. Like on Tuesdays and Thursdays where I host bingo karaoke. Tuesdays at the library bar from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then on Thursdays, usually from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Scout inside the Statler Hotel in downtown Dallas. In case you guys don't know how bingo karaoke works, bingo numbers are called with every karaoke performance that comes up to sing on stage. And people playing bingo have the opportunity to win gift cards to the establishment that they can put towards their tab for food and drinks. So that just got done with the library bar. Tomorrow is Thursday, and we have Scout. Now, I'll be actually doing a private event hosting karaoke from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., and then the public will be allowed into Scout after 9 p.m. for bingo karaoke. So please keep that in mind, and I'll also be updating and posting that on my Instagram. And of course, actually, for those of you other karaoke singers out and about, there is actually a national karaoke competition happening right now. The qualifying rounds are going all around DFW, the U.S. karaoke competition. And I'll actually be doing my first round of qualifiers tonight in Dallas at the cottage with my boy Robert O. So putting myself in the karaoke singing competition ring, which will be fun. My last experience with a singing competition was actually doing Metro Icon. So I'm excited for that, to see what happens and just the overall experience and connection to get to make through it. So other than that, y'all, I'm going to go bring you guys this episode, which is a very fun one. I'm talking to a comedian and a comedian producer or comedy producer, Caleb B. Davis, a.k.a. CBD. This is actually, I think, the last recorded episode we had in the old space. So going to be winding it down. We're coming pretty close in update, but I'm definitely bringing on new guests in the new space for new episodes. So go ahead, turn your volumes up. Here is my episode with the one and only Caleb B. Davis.
This stuff is really fresh.
You could do it all.
You can't.
Do it all, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Metro Icon Podcast. I am your host, Shawn Kay the Showman of Doitall Entertainment and diamedia. And you know what we do on this show? We talk about the world of entertainment and media and the icons that live in it. Can I call this guest an icon? I don't know. All I know is that he is a wonderful spirit, a very, very good comedian around these DFW parts, and he has one of the greatest acronyms or initials a man can have. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Caleb, not A, but B. Davis.
Thank you.
That's what that sounds like, Caleb.
That's that energy that I need right there. That's what I feed on.
Yeah, dude. I mean, thank you for coming by the spot. What is going to be probably the last recorded episode in this space? So thank you for stepping up for that honor. And of course, poured you the signature glass right over here. That Evan Williams honey bourbon, waiting for that sponsorship, taking his first sips.
Ooh. That is very nice. That's toasty.
That's right.
Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Make
Thanks.
sure that that's being said.
Listen, man, you know, my whole thing is a showman shows up, and you're the one that showed up, dude. So I'm appreciative that you came through. And not as much of a commute, I think, as much as the other guests that have had to come around this space.
Dude, I'm so thankful for that because like you're the first person that's asked me to come to you like before you go further away, probably.
No,
Maybe?
I'm
No?
actually. We are moving to North Frisco.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe you'll be closer.
I might be closer, actually. Definitely more accessible, man. Because one thing's for sure is I will not be by this 380.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
that's a big deal breaker right there.
dude, it is terrible.
It's awful. It is.
So either way, man, I'm just gloriously happy that you came through, and you are a DFW comedian. You've been doing comedy for how long?
Just a year this May, so we're starting month 13 now.
Oh,
Yeah,
and so you're coming to your 1 year mark.
yeah. I
And congratulations to you, sir.
thank you. I appreciate it. Comedy's been a lot of fun. It's been very interesting, and there's been a lot of new comics that have been coming out to like mics that I've been hosting and things of that sort, where I've been getting to like have conversations with people who are where I was a year ago, and it's really fun to be able to listen to them because, like you said, like the fucking icon part of this podcast with me as your guest is questionable. I agree with everybody. But for you, on the other hand, with as active as you are in doing so many varieties of entertaining, I don't think people understand the work that really goes into that.
Sure.
Especially when it's more of a livelihood, you know, and like
Yeah.
when you're like bought in on it and you're G'ing up for all these different events and you're touring all over the Metroplex. Whenever I'm like at an open mic and there's comics that are brand new and I get to talk with them because, like, you know, there's that thing sometimes when you don't even know any better, you'll go up for your first or second open mic and you're just killing for no reason because you don't know any better yet. You don't know any better about like how you should maybe write your jokes to be a little bit more digestible for an audience,
Yeah.
or you know, put yourself in the shoes of the audience. How would you like to hear that joke rather than just like, this is my first thought and I'm saying it and then it
Yeah.
does well. That's great. That's what open mics are for. But being able to pick the minds of people who are younger and kind of telling them like, this is something you don't even know you've started yet. Because like the first few times I did this, I didn't think, you know, I'm here, I'm involved, and I'm also kind of a comedian now, right? Like I have not called myself that until maybe last 3 months.
That's funny. I've been doing stand up for coming up pretty much 2.5 years now. I still don't call myself a stand up because it's like because I literally identify fully by the brand of the showman.
Yeah.
And I'm an MC first more than anything that loves stand up comedy.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I'll say I'm a better singer than I am a comedian, So
I think we'd all agree. No, I'm just joking. No, but with that same sentiment, like it's still great, and I think it does behoove you as someone who is in a variety of different things to
It's a
call
good word,
yourself.
behoove.
Yeah, you know, just in case I didn't look white enough. Like, I wanted to make sure I got that one in there. I dropped it in, but so yeah, it helps you. I feel like especially because like there is still that benefit of hosting as a comedian or as an MC in any regard where you're like, all right, wrangle this audience back up after that last performance. Let's move the show on, you know?
Yeah, and I think, and I've talked about it before, but I mean, I would never call if I got an opportunity to headline and stuff because, my numbers will bring in asses into the seat, you know what I mean? I would, not reject the idea completely, but I mean, I've fallen in love with the idea of being a producer, which you stepped into, is producing some shows, probably taking a little bit of a pause now, or are you still...
So, and that's the fun thing right now because, and this is like a great platform to kind of talk about that and be specific. Like I did get into that production aspect of like, especially you living up here. I know you can say like, you have other reasons to be in other cities, but like if you don't have to be in Dallas every night or Fort Worth every night or even Denton every night, it's like I want to put something on close to me that benefits other people as well. So like hosting an open mic for me, I was like, at the time I was working at a restaurant and I was like, I can fucking put a mic on here and I can do it well. I know I can do it well. Like I might not be the best host at the beginning. And like every week hosting is like, you're figuring it out. You're trying to figure out who you are to lift everyone and keep the whole show going. So I was producing at the restaurant I worked at. We did multiple showcases, at least 6. We were doing open mics there for 8 months for a while. And it just became a lot for me. I wasn't working so much on hosting or writing or being a performer. You know, it was more so me making sure that this shit was set up ready to go for everyone, because the last 4 months or so was me putting the mic on for everyone else. Like there was nothing more for me to benefit there, because you know, like it's not your position as a host to be really picky or selective who you're working with and what they give you for that. But my value at that restaurant superseded like what they were actually pulling in for regular customers. And then it was just kind of ridiculous when people would go in there for my open mic, they'd see the whole fucking dining room empty. And then they'd come over to the little event space where there's like, you know, anywhere from 15 people on a bad night to 35, 45 people on a good night. And we're all having a fucking blast. They're like, what's going on? Is the restaurant closed? I'm like, no, we're just so much cooler over here. You know? So, but being able to step away from the production aspect of things, I just made that on my own, where I was like, I'm going to stop doing the open mics here. If I can host somewhere else, there were some other people that put like feelers out with me, like, hey, if I had a mic getting going somewhere, would you want to host it? And I would be like, I was like, of course I would, especially if less of the responsibility for making the mic happen is my job.
Right.
And that's exactly what had happened with Denton Comedy Spot. I don't know if you've met Lauren from Denton Comedy Spot. She's who put Denton Comedy Spot all together. And she's really trying to like revitalize what the Denton comedy scene was. And with that, she's opened, I guess this is past tense. She opened the open mic that I'm hosting right now in Denton on the Square on Tuesday nights.
Oh.
Graffiti Pasta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm doing that every week on Tuesdays. There's other shows that I have been on and that I'm going to be on in the future. But outside of that, like not having to produce it myself, it's like hands off, and I'm like, let's write.
Right.
Or like
Right.
let's relax.
Yeah.
And on sometimes I have some extra time to do that.
That's awesome, man. I mean, because it's like I do agree with you, because it's like I feel like Denton is like this. Let's call it like a Bodunk second cousin of them trying to emulate to be Austin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's because it's such a college town, and I'm like, man, this would definitely, I think, have vibes for comedy. And there's no comedy scene whatsoever. There's no venue that's really kind of producing comedy. So. I remember, I mean, the only show that I produced in Denton was actually at my stepson's boxing gym.
Oh, okay.
And that was pretty cool, because it
That
was
is
like,
cool.
because it was inside a boxing ring. And so I had Liam Smith, Ali Nazari, and Panda Chacon.
Oh, hell yeah,
And
dude. That's a solid fucking lineup
yeah,
right there, too.
and so it was cool, man. Like I was like, "Hey, man, y'all ever done a set in a boxing ring?" They're like, "No, dude, this is awesome." I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" You know? So like, I mean, he's my stepson's hasn't been in the gym for a while. Loss of privileges due to grades. But I have to be that parent.
Oh yeah.
But
Walk with
whichever
a heavy
case.
stick.
Yeah. But whichever case, I'm glad that you are part of that revitalization or new vitalization of the comedy scene.
Thank you.
In Denton. Are you being put on any like active shows as of now?
I was on Denton Comedy Spot's like intro showcase they did. It was done like the Saturday after our first open mic. And outside of that, I know I've got some other shows coming up, but I don't know the dates on them specifically. I just know what months they're going to be in, and they're a little while away. But yeah, I've been on some shows, and honestly, like the shows are just fun. I kind of like the shows more so for actually meeting the comics that are regularly on shows.
Yeah.
Because like the open mics that I'm at versus comics who are like, consistently put on at a specific venue, or maybe a few different venues. Like they have like their better, every comic's got their own set of open mics where they're like, these are the ones that I hit, right? So like with that in mind, there's a lot of comics that I've been seeing doing a lot of great shit, who have great material, great performers that I've never even met in the year that I've been doing comedy. So like the shows that I've been on, I know Miles Francis put me on a show. He's like my fucking favorite. He's been putting me on shows I might not deserve, but outside of that, like I kind of recognize that, and I try to make sure I'm just like the best I can be. And it's worked really well so far. He had us at a venue at the House of Dirt in just this last end of May. And dude, it was an outdoor venue. It was kind of a hot day. Weren't as many people as we wanted to show up for that show, but like it was more so a variety show too. We had Marvin Morell was there.
Oh yeah, the magician.
Yeah, and then Weebs the Clown was there. Brooke Jefferson was there. Me and Miles were there. We were the only 3 comics. Or I guess there was a 4th comic from Austin.
Well, Marvin Morell's kind of a comedy magician.
And he is a comedy magician,
Yeah.
but in terms of like, you know, straight comedy, I guess more so is kind of what my thing is. But like, if you're doing something else with your comedy, I think that's where it becomes a variety show, right? And there was also a clown. So like, I think it's more fair
That's where
for
they would've
all the
lost me.
comics
Yeah.
that we say it's a variety show, because
Yeah.
if I'm not funny, I could definitely figure something else out to start doing. It's like, I have this talent. Like,
What? Doing what?
dude, I don't know. Improv is where you would really come to figure that one out. Like,
Have you done improv?
dude, I try. I mean, like, I don't trust myself to be able to commit to an improv schedule. Like, they're like, oh, we got like, they have practices and training. Or
It's a team. Yeah, it's a team thing.
Yeah, I would love to do it. I just know that I would be the guy that's like, I'm not gonna make it again, and they're like,
Yeah.
So not so much that I do improv, but I do write. People kind of hate this at my open mic. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, but I love it. It's one of my favorite things, and like, fuck everyone who actually hates it. They don't hate it, but like, I have a mystery box. It's so cliche. You've been to a mic where you get to pull a topic or whatever. This one's a little bit different because it can be a topic, it can be like a fill in the blank, or it can be an entirely written out joke. And like, the jokes that I write that I put in there are purposefully the dumbest fucking jokes you've ever written or read. And I do that because I think it would be fun for, like, there's a handful of different scenarios I can play out where it's like, you know, if you're just not fucking with the crowd or the night or whatever, if you don't want to try any of your material, go to the box. Or there have been a lot of new comics that come out there. So like, I've been kind of forcing people's hand into improv a little bit, but I enjoy improv, but not enough to like commit to it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I mentioned it. I mentioned on the show many times, but my starting comedy was doing improv. So I started that in Chicago doing Second City. I graduated from their entire program. And in that time, I did my first 6 stand-up comedy open mics, but I went in there purposely to fail, like with no material plan, because I wanted to feel the feeling of bombing. And as an MC, I felt very confident on being able to, like, oh, I can just talk about whatever. And I was like, oh, no, I will fail, you know? So, but then, you know, it wasn't until end of 2021 is when I started stand-up. But what was your catalyst to start stand-up comedy?
So I have an interesting story with stand-up, because this
shall see.
this same restaurant that I hosted open mics at, that I stopped hosting at recently, I worked there a couple different times. So more recently, when I was working there, I started working there again in 2023, July 2023. And it was literally just out of necessity. That's what restaurant jobs are: serving tables, bartending, whatever. But I worked there before, when I had just turned 18. I worked there until I was almost 20. At the end of me working there, when I was almost turning 20, it was October 2019. There was another comic in DFW who was hosting open mics at this venue. And I just happened to be working, and I looked at my boss. I was like, hey, if I finish closing my shit up, can I go over there? And I got the most judgmental fucking eyes ever as a 19-year-old. He's like, you want to go over there? I was like, yeah, like, I think that'd be cool just to like watch. And as soon as I was over there, I figured out how to sign up, and then I went. I did my first 5 minutes, and like, I did really well. The next week they came back, did it again. I did my second week, and I did really well. And then the pandemic hit, and I was already leaving that job too, and they stopped doing the open mics there. So then I took this huge long break, and then it was last May 2023. I got just the wild hair of, I did it those 2 times, I want to keep going.
Yeah.
And so then I went to a Shark mic in May, beginning of May, mid-May, and just fell right back into it, where I was like, every week that Thursday Deep Ellum cycle, Reno's, either Cheapsteaks or DCC with Noah, and then I'd come back home. And those were really just about my only 2 mics that I was hitting consistently every week. And as far as what actually keeps me going, though, it's got to be the craziness, right? It has to be. Like, this community is a lot of fun. And I catch a lot of flack for it, because I say that there's a lot of funny people. And there are a lot of funny people in DFW that, especially, I think are worth the people who aren't funny, if that makes sense. And like, I'm not gonna call anyone out because comedy's subjective. I'm not fucking funny, and people laugh at me sometimes. So the people who are really just ripping it up, carrying shows, and putting Dallas and even fucking Austin on their back, it's like, dude, that's why I'm in this community. That's exciting. That's so cool to just be around these people and watch them grow. They grow into some fucking crazy things. And then there's some people that you just don't eventually hear from anymore. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one dude who's living that right now is my Nickens, Drew Nickens, dude.
Dude.
Like, dude, I cannot speak more highly on how like the emotional feeling I felt to see what happened and what he ended up doing. This legendary, pretty much an episode of Kill Tony dedicated to the man. Like, it was one of those things that it was. What was even cooler was coming back from that week, and then I think I was around. I think I was in Deep Ellum because I have a Thursday gig, so I'm not able to do the open mic run. But maybe I'll maybe stop by and try and do karaoke at Twilight and then roll home.
Yeah.
There was like 2 comedians that were there, and both of them just came up to me and they were like, "Dude, you fucking called it." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Dude, Drew Nickens, bro, he's huge." I'm like, "Yeah, bro." Like, I mean, he was just undeniable because I think it was just, besides of his caliber of what he delivers on stage, dude, there's not a single person who meets Drew Nickens and doesn't fucking fall in love with him.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
Yeah.
And man, honest to God, he was the guy that when I would introduce him to people, like when I first started doing comedy, I would tell them like, he's just a Kill Tony away. Like that was everybody. I was like, I'm so excited because I put him on my showcases at Hulu. Well, not multiple, but I put him on one, intended to bring him back. Obviously those just didn't sustain. But I've always loved working with him, and honestly, yeah, I'm so fucking happy for him because I don't know that there's another comic in this area
More
that deserves it.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
That's
and
the
he's
biggest thing.
appreciating it. He's running with it, and he's adjusting with it. Like, that's the thing is, like, if you get an opportunity like this, some people aren't ready for it. They think that they're ready for their Kill Tony moment, but Kill Tony, if you do it right, then there's so much more to it as a comic, and you have to be ready. I don't know from experience, but I can see it. You can see it. Once you've done this a little bit, you see it, especially if you understand kind of how, clubs work and things like that. Like if you're taking courses there, you know that you're kind of investing in yourself to have someone to back you a little bit. Kill Tony is like an average Joe, everyman's go up here, kill it, and mean it basically, and like you'll grow from it. Like,
I mean, it's more so like find out how deep your metal goes, just because the savageness of that show, right? That it like, comedy is such a game where they tell you exactly how they feel about you, right? Like you are performing material, and even if your material is good, if they just don't like you, you're gonna fucking know it, right? And that's a show is that not only do you just know it, they will let you know in like the greatest end of the spectrum as you can. So if you're great, it is phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
But if you are bad, they will make you want to kill yourself. Like it is meant to literally, I would say even to some extent, like make or break or deter some comedians from ever wanting to step on a stage again, to the point where they're like, stop doing comedy. Don't do it no more, you know? And regardless if the comedian listens or not, but either way, it's like, if you do though have a, let's call it even a decent set, right? Where like you had a decent 1 minute and then the interview wasn't terrible. Yo, like I think even just from that, it breeds enough opportunity. There are guys that like go from a couple hundred to a couple thousand just from having that type of where it just wasn't bad. So I mean, have you ever gone down to Austin?
I have not. And really quick before we leave that too, the thing that what you're kind of saying too that I've seen is like there are very, very talented comics that I know from DFW that have gone on Kill Tony, and they've had not bad sets whatsoever. Like it's been really, really good, really solid, and sometimes it's almost so polished and like easy, sometimes they don't get as much attention as they deserve either. My example for that one, I would say, well, honestly, two. I think Cody Swindell did a really great Kill Tony performance, and I talked with him after it. Not like
I just released this episode.
well,
That was last
good,
week, yeah.
good fucking transo or like good plug right there. Cody's so fucking funny. He's one of the funniest motherfuckers I've ever met. He's probably, I'd have to say, our second most deserving DFW comic. No,
Yeah.
I'm not ranking deserving comics, by the way. Like, fuck you guys.
But look, lucky though.
But yeah, Cody did really well, and like I think he did so well that they were kind of just like, all right, next comic, you know?
Yeah, well, I think there's another branch to the whole, like, dude, it's more so a lot of it when it comes to Kill Tony is really on just the marketability. Do they see the marketability of you selling?
Oh, true,
Right?
true.
And I think that it doesn't, like, talent only speaks so far, right?
Yeah.
Because you can be one talented motherfucker, but if you don't have that likability or marketability that's going to get people to like follow and rally and want to be where you are, then I mean, like, it's really not going to amount to anything, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's kind of like it's a lot of these reality competition shows. You see a lot of talent, really good talent, and they're like, man, I think you're a good singer or you're a good talent, but I don't know, I just don't see it.
That's a good point.
And so that's one of those things where it's kind of like, I mean, dude, showbiz is filling asses in seats and making sure they're paying that ticket.
Very true.
And
Very
so
true.
and these guys are such pros, especially like Tony Hinchcliffe. Anybody can say what they want about Tony Hinchcliffe. That motherfucker is a goat and an assassin.
Oh, dude, he is lethal in comedy.
But like on top, like just being a host, being a producer, what he cognitively can see and call out in detail.
Oh, yeah.
And being
it's
able
like
to
Rain Man.
right,
dude.
it's unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
he's like a fucking dementor. Like he
Yeah.
can literally pull, like you didn't even know you were showing that part of your soul, and he's already pulling it
Yeah.
out of you.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I just went Monday for my 9th attempt, and I made an agreement with my fiance that to let me do one a month. Like, babe, let me just go to Austin. I'll find one Monday a month, make it work. And and I usually work my hustle, so it's like I can drive. Like I'll pick up a ride on Hitch or filter rides on Lyft and head out to Austin and maybe drive around Austin for a little bit before I sign up at Mothership and then for Kill Tony. But I went in the beginning of the month, and then because this last Sunday we all celebrated my first stepfather's day.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I wasn't expecting much, but they made it very, very special.
Yeah.
But I used that to leverage. I'm like, babe, I gotta go. Like, yeah. And she luckily, and I even turned down a gig. I was supposed to DJ for Game 5 of the finals.
NBA finals, dude. I'm so happy you did not DJ
I'm
for
so
that.
happy that it fucking.
I'm so happy. you
That's
didn't
called a good
DJ.
fucking decision. But like, I mean, it's one of those things. There's like, I mean, a check is a check, right? And I've done definitely gigs where I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna make some, make the money. Why not? But I knew that if I was doing that gig, first off, I wasn't gonna have a fucking good time because this venue has a stick up his ass like Italian manager with this heavy accent who hates hip hop and rap and urban music and
I'm surprised they were showing the finals there.
bro. Yo, I'm like, yo, can you tell me why? I'm like, yo, you don't want rap or hip hop or songs that have swears in it for an NBA finals game when they're going to commercial playing like Megan Thee Stallion and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is, I'm like, this has, and then what was pissing me off was that he's trying to sell it that this is coming from the owners. And it's fucking not. I
Yeah.
know for a fact it's not.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to pin it on them. And I'm like, nah, bitch, this is you, bro. Like, and so anyways, I contracted out. So it's kind of like, okay, we'll make a little bit of money, but it's not like anything crazy.
Yeah.
But I knew that if I was there, even if I was making a check, I was going to be like, fuck, I should have gone.
Yeah.
And it would have eaten at me, you know? So I kind of broke that down to her, and she's like, all right, babe, if you want.
Well, and that's good. I've never tried to go to Austin. to perform.
I feel like you'd be one of those lucky fucks that get picked the first time you go. Man, that piss me off, dude.
Well, okay, and I've heard of so many people that get picked like just the first time they go, to where I don't want to be the person that might be there too often, you know. And then it's like, I don't know what their filtering is, like if they do pull names outside of like a name that they act like, I don't know.
No, they do, but it's not. It's probably not as. It's not as random as you think. Like I think that like okay, because they have like 4 regulars now.
Yeah.
I think 3 or 4 regulars.
They've got a handful of good.
I mean, so yeah,
regulars.
they have Hans Kim, Casey Rocket, Cam Patterson,
David
and then
Lucas.
David Lucas though is like he's not as present. He's
Touring a lot more.
yeah,
I know
he's
that.
touring. He's doing his own shows. So like especially for the regular shows, he's not showing up. I think arena shows he will.
Yeah.
And then you have William Montgomery, and now you have Drew Nickens. He got put in as a regular.
Yeah, Drew. Oh yeah, William was a great one too.
Yeah.
There's also Uncle
Laser's not a regular.
Well, oh okay, Uncle.
So
Laser.
I think so that is kind of to my point, right? He's kind of, I guess we would call it a golden ticket winner.
like a fringe return.
So golden ticket winners are like if they are there, they can get an opportunity for a spot, right? So I think if he's like in town, then they'll bring him up on stage if he wants to go up. You know, but he's I don't even know if he's an actual golden ticket winner, but again, I think that they do it where it's like he's a bucket pull, but it was very intentional. So I think they have. So I would say that like from being there, I would say that maybe 3 or 4 of the picks are like fully random, and there's maybe a total of 6.
Okay. Yeah, I have a couple jokes that I've thought might be Kill Tony quality.
Your 1 minute.
Yeah, which is like I feel like I'm getting there, but like I want to know that I've got more than just a Kill Tony.
You gotta do all your self trans jokes like off the bat.
Dude.
You might as well call it out right off the jump before they start coming at you, Caleb.
Well, last night when I was at Graffiti Pasta hosting, I've been doing this thing where I haven't been like putting a set together, and like that's bad. I should be doing more. But like I just went up and riffed, and the thing I was riffing on was me keeping on saying my gay face, because I just kept saying like basically it was Pride Month. That was my whole fucking 5 so minutes was just like, hey guys, it's Pride Month. It's like I always get mistaken for being gay all the time. It's like I don't know why. I guess it's just my gay face. And like I kept going where it was like, and like I can't change my gay face. It's like, so I try to change my gay clothes, and sometimes it just makes me look gayer. I was like, so I'm
That's
just
pretty
here,
good.
Yeah, I'm just here as happy as I can be right now, me and my gay face. And it was dumb, but like kind of what I mentioned this a little bit with you beforehand, before we started taping. It's like that benefit or that skill that you might be able to get from hosting when you're in a room where it's like, let me just kind of catch these people off guard really quick, right? And so, and like, I don't know why the other day I completely just lied to the audience because I thought it might work, and it did, but I was just like, my parents are getting divorced, and then and then everyone was right there back with me again. My parents are fine right now, like, but I told them, and my follow up to my parents are getting divorced, I was like, yeah, I know, most of y'all should understand, like, parents get divorced so that way at least one of them can be happy, and like, dude, they loved it, and I was like, all right, cool, fuck your parents, and so. I ended up transitioning that, not my fucking sexuality, but that joke into, well, you know, my parents did get divorced, and now I have a stepdad, and I went right back into my stepdad jokes that I have written that those crush. Like, I love my stepdad jokes. I feel like it's so easily identifiable with people that nobody else really talks about right now, where I'm like, you know, I can throw in I get stuck in the laundry machine appliance jokes with me and my gay face and my stepdad. Like, I can just keep it going. So, but finding those hosting opportunities where it's like, fuck, you know, like you get to feel that I'm bombing, I'm eating a bag of dicks right now, I need to recover how, and then like wrangle that room in and bring them back. Like I know that because I was at a show recently where I didn't do as much time as I was asked. I did 13 of my 15 asked minutes. But I'm telling you right now, if I would have done 15, the room just would have soured. And so, like, as a hosting perspective, when I got to that 13th minute, when I ended it, I knew I wasn't at 15, but I knew I was close. I had hit on a really, really good joke, and I was like, this is where I'm drawing my line. Like,
Yeah.
I will take as much flack as I need to for maybe cutting a couple minutes, which is big in 15 minutes. A couple of 15 minutes is a good majority portion of that, to where it's like he might not even be able to do it. And it wasn't that per se. It was more so, I don't want to ruin the entire night, right? Like if you're hosting and you go up first and all that jazz, like that's a big responsibility to carry. I'd rather cut myself a couple minutes and then maybe fudge some people to give them a couple, 45 extra seconds on the back end of a set they're doing better in, and say, people are enjoying you. Let's give this time to you. Like, that's just, I don't know. I wasn't in a position that show to make that call, but I felt like it was necessary.
Well, I mean, I think what, to what you built on what your original point was, I think is you giving more grace to the possibility of presenting, I guess, let's say more minutes of opportunity to somebody else that might deserve it, which is fine. I think that is testament to your good-natured soul that you have. But it's such a strength, though, to be able to call out your set to where it is, and you know that you have a little bit more. You have a little bit more that they're willing to give you, but then you end up, having such a strong moment, and you're like, knowing that full ability where you're like, okay, I can pull in a few more jokes. Is it going to be better?
Yeah.
Than and being able to consciously be like, no, let's end it here on a strong note. I mean, dude, that's a good strength because, man, I've seen guys where like had a decent set, had a good joke, and then ran to their next one, and it didn't go well, and just there was zero recovery from that.
Yeah.
And then they literally ended on that fucking sour note, and
it's just not worth anyone's time. Like, especially if there's a possibility that a ticket price is in on this, right? Like, that's just not my place to speak on the greater masses of the rest of the show, right? But I agree with you. And honestly, in every set that I do where I don't make my time, I could have probably definitely slowed down quite a bit and filled the time with the same material and then still landed on that good note and then been able to call it. But that's the learning part of comedy, right? Like, especially, this was literally right around this is my 1 year of doing comedy when this happened. And I had just kind of gotten through a writing slump. I'm not even going to say I did get through it, but I was able to throw some jokes together that I'm like, this helps me feel better. Let's not say I'm in a slump anymore, and let's just fucking roll, right? There's a lot of just kind of carrying on and keeping going that's necessary in comedy, or else you will weed yourself out. You'll just really feel like if you're doing comedy, you're probably the type of person that's already kind of like self-deprecating, gets down on yourself, is harder on yourself than you need to be, which is good. Keep doing it. Be hard as fuck on yourself. Like, don't let yourself get up easy. Like, because it's supposed to still be a job. It's supposed to be the best job imaginable. And this is if best case scenario for everything works out for you. But that's what you have to keep saying is going to happen. Or if you can't justify that anymore, why are you still doing comedy, right?
Well, I mean,
I know that you can still do it for a hobby. I'm not discouraging that. But there are still some instances where it's like, where there's people that you might be able to see locally or anywhere. Like, this is not just to Dallas. It's like there are some people where maybe almost they have so much fun they don't seem like they take themselves seriously, and maybe they could be in an environment of like their friends more so than like, oh, this is my favorite hobby, which is where you can really see a square edge takeoff from every other open micer to someone who's like, oh, they're regularly being booked on shows throughout the week, every week, all month long, right? Every month. And like, that's not to shit on people, but
I still don't see, for the majority part, where you're dry, even if you're booked every single weekend, it very well could not even be close to having a sustainable revenue or like living income, doing that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's like, for me, it's kind of like I knew that I was never going to put a basis on stand-up comedy ever paying me to do it, right? It just became that thing where I'm like, I would do this for free. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, beyond a hobby, you love the joy of it even at its worst, and I think that is where you find that true comedian, right? And then you just want to be able to kind of put yourself in a position to see what you can do, you know, because I think it's just the greatest currency in the world is being able to produce laughter.
Oh,
you know?
dude, 100%. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more.
And
It's challenging. There was a show I did at Dallas Comedy Club, and there was a guy that came up to me after, just a general audience member, and like I riffed with him a little bit towards the end too. He was like, he asked me, he was like, "Hey, bro, can I ask you a question?" I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "Is this really hard to do? Like, is it really hard to be a comedian?" He's like, "Cause let me tell you, bro, my friends think I'm really funny," and I was like, "Okay." I was like, and like this
the classic.
yeah, well, and honestly, we all start somewhere, right? So I said, well, that's great. I was like, especially if your buddies love how funny you are, if you love how funny you are, that's awesome. But let me ask you, like, if you saw a stranger in front of you and I said, hey, I need you to go out there and say something to him that gives you a 50% chance you can make him laugh, could you do it? And then he kind of like sat back a second. He's like, damn, I never thought about that. And I was like, I think if you are interested in comedy, give it a shot. You're never going to know if you want to do it until you try it. But that's what you have to ask yourself. It's not if you and your boys think you're funny. Is it your boys think that other people think that you're fucking funny that don't know you, you know, more so rather than anything else. And that's kind of what you were talking about too. Whenever you're in comedy, especially after you've been in it probably about a year is my guess, when you would probably figure out like, oh, this is who I am. That's how I write myself to be funny, right? A little bit. And you still don't figure it out 100%, but you're starting to work there. Like you're like, oh, okay, you know.
Well, I think also the whole point, because it's like I've heard that too. Like I've had lift passengers and they see I have like an FAQ that kind of talks about who I am as a showman and all things. So it says when they say, oh, that is always a pickup point. It's not the MC part, the singer part, the event producer part, the podcast part. It's like, well, they say, oh, stand-up comedian. Oh.
Yeah.
And so when I get that person who's like, you know, been contemplating stand-up comedy and they give me like, oh, you know, my friends always tell me I should do stand-up comedy, you know, and okay, it's on your prerogative if you want to start. But the other side of it too is that conversationally funny is so on a different caliber because it is a spread and shared form of attention. It's not stand-up comedy, you're solo on a stage with all attention directed towards you, and you have to dictate that with zero support, right? In a conversation, you can help to like essentially build on somebody else's funny.
Especially,
you know what I mean? It's a shared thing that's not centrally focused on you.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different caliber and really sometimes doesn't even compute. Like you can be very much conversational, like funny, and then step on a stage and fucking melt.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so
it is a actual skill. Like and in terms of with how subjective comedy is, finding like a safe green zone where it's like how what's the percentage of a room I can make laugh with this? Like when you start getting into the higher echelons of things that you're writing where it's like, bro, I'm killing every room I hit with this one joke. It's like there's no better feeling than
Yeah.
that. I mean, I haven't felt it before, but like
Yeah.
but like there's just there are some jokes that I love telling that usually will at least pick up the chuckles a little bit where I'm like, hell yeah, that is why I do this. Like,
yeah. I mean, you've definitely seen me bomb on stage, but I think that, you know, I always carry myself because I'm an MC and I have the experience that I do have being on stage, is that I always knew that I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be the funniest guy in the room. But I think you've seen firsthand that like even through any kind of bomb, I'm just like, I can give a fuck. You know, like,
staying loose is something
Yeah.
that always breeds laughter. Whether and to be fair to a lot of the mics that you and I have both seen each other at have been predominantly comic based audience members.
Yeah.
Where
Reno's.
yeah, Reno's. Damn it, Anthony. No, Reno's. Honestly, I have not been to Reno's in a long time. I'm looking for a free Thursday here at some point in time to just go back there and relive that Reno's dive, you know, where it's like,
Well, I know there's a new one.
is it the drop the pin one, Anthony?
No, that's a show.
Is that a oh, okay.
That's a show. So that's Rudy,
Oh, that
Rudy
makes
and Anthony, I think.
Yeah.
And so that's a show that they started producing. But Carletta Kay, I think I don't know, she started it or she's just hosting it. But there was one, I think it's got like Snookies or something. It's a little South Dallas. I went there one time and I tried to find it, and I was like, where the I don't know where the fuck this place is. I like
Yeah.
drove around this little mini mall fucking parking lot. I'm like, and then I talked to a couple of guys that were standing outside. I'm like, hey man, do you know where this like Snooki's bar? They're like, yeah man, it's right around the corner. I'm like, where the fuck is it?
I was just around that corner,
Yeah, I
bro.
was
Is there
like-
another corner? I don't know.
So I mean, but again, it's like I think like they're like Tuesdays, like there's so many now new hot mics and stuff that are coming up like on Tuesdays and then Thursdays. But then like if I have a gig, I'm like I have to go for the check more than anything.
Oh,
so.
100%. I get that. I get that.
But we'll see what happened because my Thursday gig, it was on a 10-week run. This Thursday's the last the last of the 10-week run. So if they want to continue, they'll do it for another 10 weeks. But I'm like low key, like if they don't, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, it's so hard now. Like I'm lucky to get like maybe 2 mics in a week. But I always try to see. I'm like, let me try at least hit 1 if I can. But whichever case, I mean, I know this weekend. I mean, I want to see if there's actually any mics in Chicago on Friday because it would be really awesome to try. Because I haven't done stand up in Chicago.
Well, and you said that you're meeting your mentor out there too, right?
Oh yeah, well I'm recording my podcast episode with him.
Okay.
So like I mean I was in Chicago 2 weeks ago, and then before I left I ended up surprising him. So I like called his girlfriend, and usually when I do it, like I never call him and organize. I always just love to like pop up on him.
Yeah.
And he's just that's like he is the only grown like black man that I like truly love from like the top and bottom of my heart. More when I say mentor, he will always recur. He's like, you are my best friend. I'm like, yeah, okay, all that. But I'm like, you taught me this game, motherfucker. I'm like, you still teach me this game, and he's still emceeing. He still has his entertainment company, and it's doing very well. And he's damn like 20 years into business. And so, I mean, this guy's he's just a legend. But who I see like anyone who does it better, there's nobody. Like I mean, and and he gives me my props and my roses and all that. But I'm just super excited to have that sit down on the show and people to see like, yo, this is the guy that there's no Shawn Kay the Showman if it wasn't for this dude.
Well, and that's good too, because I was bringing him up only, to plug your next guest, but outside
which
of that,
I mean, this episode and that episode probably won't be out for like a good month. But
dude, honestly, but whenever they come out, it'll hopefully redirect people to another part of one of your episodes. But hopefully you can get in touch with them, and maybe they know mics you might be able to get out to, or maybe there's some Chicago Facebook groups that you could be in.
yeah,
for
I mean,
comedy.
I have to go on my fiance's Facebook since I don't have one.
Oh, okay.
Although if you want to follow me on Facebook, meta copyright infringement, you can follow me there. That's my fucking page.
That's great.
So we're actually breaching around the 45-minute mark. So what we'll do, we're gonna take a short break, recollect ourselves, and then come back second half to close out the episode with this guy, Caleb B. Davis, y'all. And we're back to the Metro Icon podcast with this dude, CBD, Caleb B. Davis, when I did my little organic meditative smoke break outside, and a guy named CBD was like, I'm going to chill on the couch. And so, so whichever case, this has been a fun conversation. This first half was simply, I think, simply talking the comedy game and experience and viewpoints and all that good jazz. But let's get down to who is Caleb B. Davis and what is it about his gay face that brought him to be the maybe man that he is today. So,
Yeah.
But are you born and raised in Dallas?
I was born and raised in Arlington, Texas.
You're DFW.
I am DFW. My whole family, like I'm first generation Texan. The rest of my family is from up north. Like my grandparents are from North Dakota.
The winning side.
Yeah. My mom and her siblings, for the most part, were all born in Minnesota. So I'm a Vikings fan. I've got a lot of northern roots, and like it's funny because like some people tell me I sound Canadian sometimes.
Yeah, dude, 100, bro. When you said that you had family in Minnesota,
Yeah.
because you know Minnesota is the Canada of the U.S.
Dude, yeah, it sucks. Like they
So,
sound disgusting.
Like
there.
you definitely have relatives that are like Minnesota,
Oh yeah, like dude, my mom when she drinks.
Manitoba.
Yeah,
You know,
and me
like
when I'm
this.
sober for some reason. Like I work at an RV park.
Are
And
you
there's a marina.
all having a good time?
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, there's people out there on the boat, and people are like, what did
In
you
the
say?
boat?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, like the boat, and they're like, oh, you're not from here, are you? I'm like, I was born and raised in Arlington. Like,
You're gonna make a right on that street and come to that roundabout.
yeah, dude, it sucks. It sucks. It's crazy. It's insane. And people, I tell people I'm from the streets that nickname me White Chocolate, and that's
Yeah.
true. Like,
How was it growing up in Arlington?
Dude,
I
it's
mean,
crazy.
it's vastly different now, but you know.
So that's an interesting thing. Like I've already mentioned, people know about my family dynamic. My mom had me when she was 17 as a single mom. Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah. So like I thought it was extremely fitting I was here in your last recording at this place that's, you know, arguably closer to where your next place will be. But I was born and raised to a single parent. My mom is as white as white gets, and that's why I look the way that I look. Yeah, dude, that's that. That's that Riz right there. Everyone loves as white gets, right? Like, that's why that Canadian accent I got. It's like the only appeal I've got. For me. It's like I know he's shaped like a potato, but he said boat. And his gay face, he's so pretty. You know?
There we go. Fucking nailed it.
Yeah, it's fun though. It's fun because my biological father, he's technically half Hispanic. So his mom was Mexican. His dad, I think, was white.
And that's the side.
That's the side no one believes, so I don't talk about it. You know,
Right.
it sucks because like I'm really forced
Because
into
who's gonna
this.
believe you?
Yeah, it's not worth the argument. And
Right.
any actually Mexican comic or anyone who's actually like looking Hispanic, they don't support my comedy in that way. So I'm like, it's not worth it. Like that's worse.
Yeah.
Let me talk about having a stepdad in a house with a second story.
Because it doesn't matter. Because you know what I found out? I think doing stand-up comedy, like, I can do a black joke until I say that I'm fully Indian.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
And
makes
then,
sense.
And then, but because it's like they like, you know what? He's probably a brother. Because it's kind of like that. You see a Blake Griffin motherfucker or Jordan, not Jordan. Is it Jordan Marshall? Jordan Jacob.
Jordan Jacob. Remind me.
God damn it! He's on with Ralph Barbosa. It's Jake, not Jake. Is it Jacob Marshall?
Jacob Marshall's local. He's actually
That's
white.
Denton guy.
That's Denton.
That's the
Yeah,
Denton
Jacob
guy.
Marshall.
Then this is Jordan.
Shout out Jacob Marshall. We love you.
Yeah, Jordan. I think it's Jordan Jacob. Oh fuck! I got it. It's gonna bother me. Anyways, he's like he's black, very light skinned though. Almost kind of got like even reddish hair, so it almost looks like he's got like it's like an Irish black. But clearly like he, you know, those half black, half white, but they're very, very light skinned. You know, still can see this eminence that like okay, you were raised. Drew Nickens, half black, wouldn't fucking see that. You know what I mean? We're like even Tony Hinchcliffe was like bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like there's a tasteful way you can toe that line, whether it's true or not. Like it's at the point where when I would tell people like, oh, my biological father's Hispanic, people would tell me, no, he's not. Like they fucking know. And like I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna try to make you believe it. If I look white, I'm gonna be okay with that. I guess I have to. You know?
Well, I mean, I think that it's also telltale sign. Like you know what? And one thing I think I can say that maybe I've always respect about you that I very much relate to is that you're a guy that actually always, I think, gave really, I feel like you approached me, you know, same thing Drew's approached me first before I approached them. And I feel like maybe especially my energy but as socially dynamic, it's kind of like if I don't find an opportunity where I can contribute something to that maybe I'm not even part of, but I think I can contribute something, you know, I won't even like I don't need to jump in this conversation or get to know this person but like I always look for the initiative first. So that was like one thing is, and I'll offer it too. I'll offer that initiative first too. I'm also a guy that like if I see you're the dude that like nobody's talking to, I kind of want to talk to you.
Yeah, I want to pick your brain a little bit. You got to be
Yeah.
thinking something.
But it
and-
was like love. It was like you were giving me love. Like I think you had seen me on stage and stuff like that, and I think you kind of gauged my head, like where I mean, you thought I was doing comedy way longer, and I mean, I'm obviously got you more than a year and a half, but you just kind of came in with just more of an insightful. It was more like, man, I liked what you did here and how you navigated this. And I'm like, and you were kind of just looking at, and I'm like, oh, dude, yeah, fuck yeah, you know, like,
Yeah, I love meeting the people who are in this community because like comedy.
and
is
then you
so
send me a
interesting.
picture of myself on stage.
Oh, dude, I love taking
That's
pictures.
a beautiful.
Of people. I
That's a
love taking
beautiful
pictures.
gesture to do. I think comedians should take note. If you want to look for a good tool, networking in the comedy game, that is such a good. Like comedians need that, and I'm not usually thinking about. I'm usually like more on photo, but or video, but having a good like
A rotation, a selection,
something, you know,
Yeah.
and nothing better than the organic of like the audience member that you don't know is capturing that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
And so thank you for that, and I think thank you for doing that. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a good example of like comedians. I'm like, hey man, you know what? If you want to show love respectfully, it's like you follow them and be like, send them the picture and be like, hey man, I just took this picture. Not just want to say like you killed it and I wanted to take. Bro, that's a great way to be. That's a very earnest way of being.
Well, and I love supporting the community. Some people fucking literally don't enjoy me being anywhere around them because of it. Like people I've tried to give like.
Because you too happy?
No, I don't know if I'm too happy.
too
Like
friendly?
maybe I'm trying to justify a set they're less pleased with. Maybe I don't know. But like that's what comics don't get, dude.
I know. Okay, so I know about this is that, and I think it was Diego even said this in a set, but like where he would come off a stage and off of like a shitty set, and then a comedian would go up and be like, "Yo, man, good set."
Uh-huh.
You know, maybe they were even on the show. They were like, "Good set." And he was like, "Man, shut the fuck up! Don't tell
Yeah.
me it was a fucking good set." You
Yeah.
know, and that I do understand.
I get it. I don't want to say that I don't get it, but like from the approach that I take from when I'm especially I'll say specifically open mics. Open mics, if I happen to bring my camera, especially like I used to do a lot more regularly, like if I could take pictures with people or of more so of people, I would love to. Just kind of like
Just love it.
yeah, I like
Low-key-
photos of people. Like, don't ask me where
You know what I mean?
I'm putting it after I send it to you.
How do you deliver that message
Well-
with it? How it sounded
Well, no,
so
honestly,
creepy with that gay face of yours.
I'm keeping this photo with me and my gay face. No questions asked.
Or you don't know where it goes.
Yeah, I guess, bro. Like, there's been so like I'll kind of just like make sure I kind of close my points out a little bit, but like I'll take a picture of someone. I try not to take too many pictures for a few different reasons. I don't want to give myself too much to do where I have to send each person 20 photos of themselves. I look for good photos. If it's a bad one, I'll delete it. If I'm taking too many photos, I'm not listening, and I love listening to comics.
That's a good point too.
And so, like, open mics specifically, I love grabbing pictures of people at open mics to send them to them because it does a few things. It gives me the ability to talk to them and say, hey, I took a good picture of you, keep it. That's you. You take it. If they're ever on a show, they might think this guy took a really good picture of me. Come take a picture of me. Here's $10 or whatever. Like, literally, if I'm a comp and I get $10, it's worth it for me. I love being there.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's two different approaches you can take, or I guess three if you want to be a fucking asshole. There's three different approaches you can take. If someone's doing open mic comedy and they're getting off of their set, it's like you can not talk to them about it. Cool. I guess that's the most like neutral way you actually might be able to approach that. You can say, hey man, great set, which I normally do default to, even though I hate how cringy it is as well, because I don't want to go up and like so almost insincerely tell someone great set, especially when I can visibly see they didn't fuck with their set. But I can do that and then like hopefully talk with them later more in detail about what their set was and what the positives were, or I can start there and then the rest of my night's gone, right? So like me, it's kind of like putting a pin in it with someone where it's like, I want to go talk with you and tell you, I think you had a good set. And then if you want to talk with me about it, I'd love to talk with you about it. I love talking through material with comics. I don't think I'm someone that helps them.
I think, but I think
beneficial.
the challenge is the fact that a lot of comedians are not like that,
Mhm.
unless they like, especially they know, you know, it's a colleague in the game. You know what I mean?
And competition.
Right,
which
right.
People who aren't in comedy don't know
Yeah.
how kind of cutthroat this industry
I mean,
gets in that way.
we're in, I feel like, a much more relaxed and chill comedy scene. DFW is actually not as
Dire. There's a lot of
dude.
shows
Like
to
I
be
mean,
on.
Austin right now, I'm putting hands down is the comedy mecca of the U.S. now. Like I think it 100. LA ain't. I don't really think is shit. I know they still have it.
Yeah.
But the scene has kind of been spoiled, and then just with its other shit going on there, I don't know. It's breeding more crazy within the scene, and there's like less, and there's still a slight demand, obviously, and it's still where like a big mecca for like Hollywood and stuff. But Chicago is kind of I don't know. Felt like always been like a consistent strong third, and they've always stayed at that level. New York is just that. It's a different
New York
vibrancy.
is business comedy.
Yeah, but the world of New York. So like obviously being from Chicago, there's such comparative value. Me like a Chicago and New York person can go back and forth, right? Like I say the same shit. You know what I mean? Like bro, we got fucking dumpsters, dog. Like we don't have trash in the fucking street, and that's why we don't feed our city raccoons or city rats to be the size of fucking zoo chimps, you know, like you know, it's like me and Chicago and New York can go back and forth, but when it comes to that world in New York, it's such a vastly bigger scene, but it's so packed. It's so many different worlds intermingling with each other in such a tighter space, right?
Yeah, very true.
And so with that and that breed of character, if you can find that in comedy, especially hitting the fucking scope of different people and worlds that you have in one comedy room usually.
Yeah.
And you're talking about like doing comedy shows in laundromats and you know what I mean? It's whatever space is willing to lend it to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And Austin though is becoming, I feel like, the New York of Texas. And when it comes to comedy, it's now you can't not call it the Mecca because where it's at is in direct competition to New York and essentially Chicago and LA, but is now literally almost pretty much neck and neck with New York at the shortest amount of fucking time.
And I will say, like, not an argument against that really, but almost more so for it. It's like the Wild West of comedy just thrown in. Like, it really is living up to Texas. And I'm going to, like, also obviously kind of, like, admit ignorance to it just since I've never been a part of like Los Angeles comedy or New York comedy or Chicago comedy. But like the understanding of just like the demographic of how things work out there, like that's at the very least how I imagine it works.
Yeah,
Especially
I mean, I've seen it, I've experienced, but I've never experienced it as far as like being in it, being able to deliver. I did stand up in Cali, but it was not for a show. I found a mic not too far from where I was staying.
Okay.
Like around Los Angeles, but it was like in a suburb or like Burbank or some shit.
Okay.
And I did that and I'm like, actually did a solid 5 minutes and it was a packed little
Hell yeah.
like bookstore speakeasy thing.
Nice.
it was weird.
Yeah.
It was pretty much like BYOB and shit, but it was a vibe, you know? And there was actually like one comedian I think just reached out. He's like, hey man, I remember meeting you there. I don't know, I forgot what it was. Regardless, I digress. But New York, I'm going out to the East Coast more, and I'm like, dude, New York seems like that is like a whole nother jungle, dude.
I think if there's one place that I'd actually like fear to try to
like
do my
Theban's in
comedy,
New York right now, and
Hell yeah,
I
dude.
feel like he's gonna come back. Like,
dude, yeah, he's gonna be like his writing is going to have developed in a way that it's gonna fit his performing too, because his performing is so like he'll present an idea to someone that's so almost blasphemous just on him saying it that he gets to like kind of like recourse and capitalize on just how ridiculous it is. And every time I've seen him do comedy has just been so absolutely fucking entertaining. And like even him and the podcast he has with Brian and Diego.
Did you see the episode that I had with them?
I saw clips from that episode.
Okay,
I did
yeah,
not
so
watch the entirety of it.
and that's pretty much. I know, like people will know as much as my podcast is the clips that I put on there, right? But I will say, I mean, because when I re-listened to episodes, that was one episode that I even rewatching, I was just consistently laughing through the episode.
It was funny.
And mainly it's because of Brian Kim.
Dude, Brian is hilarious. He's
I
just
love
so
that
off
man.
tempo, and it's perfect. It's perfect for the whole ecosystem of their podcast. I love that.
Yeah, I saw Brian. I think it was at Quinlan's or something like last week, Steven was in New York, and I took a selfie with him, and I said lemon brown sugar pie.
That's funny.
I don't.
Well, and
Steven never responded. I just remember.
Well, in Diego, I've seen him at Addison Improv a few different times.
Me and him
like,
got
on
tight,
shows.
and we're talking Diego Morales.
Yes.
Or Rangal. You're talking about Rangal.
Yeah, I'm talking about Diego.
I don't think he likes me.
Oh, really? Well, honestly, like I don't know. I don't think about comedy in terms of who does or doesn't like me. It's just like at that point, it's an extra tax of being at a mic where it's like, oh, I'm here and I don't think those 3 people like me, so now I have to be hilarious or my whole night's set.
No, that's mine comes with just like a general like conscious awareness of it. You know what I mean? I think that when I know that somebody is not really, doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't relate to my energy, or maybe confuse it, or maybe thinks and I'm a different type, or I'm bullshitting on the showman. You know what I mean? Like, I think that even when I say, like, I've had comedians be like, "What the fuck you call yourself that?" I'm like, "Cause you haven't Googled me." You know what I mean? And so, whichever case, it's like, I even me doing this podcast, I stopped caring about the numbers a long time ago. I realized I do this for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a healthier mindset.
Will the numbers help? Yeah, and I know that, like, I know I'm bound for my moment, and I'm so willing to just continue living my journey in getting there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And for me I'll tell you too, like Brian, Theben, Diego, I don't think they like think of like I don't think they think of me as like a friend, right? Like, but I get what you're saying. Like, I respect the fuck out of what they're doing, and I enjoy what they're putting out there, and I want them to keep doing it.
I think that what it is that a lot of stand-up comedians respect how serious they think you are in the game, right?
That's fair.
And so, like, if you're part-time stand-up comedian, you're not a real stand-up comedian. And in my sense, it's like I again try to just come with both just a conscious awareness from both sides, and that's why I'm like, when I signed up for Kill Tony, I've done a few interviews, and I'm probably one of the only guys here that classifies himself as a showman.
Yeah, and that's a really good quality to have in a more so saturated market of strictly comics or barely that, you know. But so like and with all that in mind, like I'm kind of same as you. Like if I feel like someone doesn't fuck with me or doesn't enjoy my comedy, I let that be now, you know, because like as long as we can like respectfully just let each other do our own things and not like hinder each other or kind of stack the box against each other, like it's more just obstacle, you know. It's like let's just try to find the most respectful and amicable way to all be in the same space. Try to appease the audience of whatever capacity might be here and work on yourself. And that's the fun part of comedy.
You're doing your thing. But again, it's kind of like, you know, because I work, like I do private events and corporate events and all that.
Yeah.
In my sense, it's kind of like, you know, I'm not able to give as much dedication to comedy as I would like to, you know, especially the fact that I have a family and stuff too. And like, you know, I love to laugh, but I love to take care of them.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
there's always responsibilities and priorities.
And anything, right.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's kind of like, but again, it's to what you don't know, you place your general standards, right? When you see somebody in this game that, you know, all in all, you love so much, and you're like, ooh, it should be living, eating, breathing comedy.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a time and a place for that, and you do have to earn it. And I think that's the fun. That's the fun part. Not to discredit anybody's work ethic, but that's a thing I've been telling to a lot of the younger comics that are like just starting out. I tell them, you're gonna hear that. You're gonna hear people tell you you're no good unless you're at open mics as often as possible, and I disagree with that sentiment. But again, there's not one right way proven in comedy to make it. And where we're at in Dallas, as close to Austin as we are, with the possibility of a Kill Tony experience for any given person in comedy right now in Dallas, or anywhere that goes to Kill Tony, it's like, find what's comfortable for you. Find something sustainable in terms of a employment opportunity that allows you to keep writing, allows you to keep hitting at least some open mics within a week.
And sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But going into the whole like practicality side of it, right? And I think I've had a few conversations about, you know, working, you know, obviously you have to be practical, you got to pay bills and having that job. I always think that, like, I mean, from working from like an, 9 to 5 based type of thing, and then working for myself, is even though that my thing has been more challenging, I think that whatever hustle you do has to feed the umbrella of
What you're standing for.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like-
that's the only way you're gonna breed good comedy for yourself.
And
I
if
feel.
and if you're smart, whatever job you're doing, you can find the benefit of the thing that you want to do. I can learn this in this job doing,
Yep.
X, Y, and Z. So, anyways, I love that I think prior to us recording today, I was talking about like, my podcast was a chance to run off in tangents, and I was like, we were
Yeah.
talking about you growing up, and it went right back into
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, growing up for me, like, so my mom was young, and my biological father, he made a decision. This is just my life now instead of comedy. Anything you hear on stage will probably sound different than what I'm going to tell you, but it's
Yeah.
probably for sake of me trying to be funny. So my biological father was also 17 when my mom had me, and he had a problem with drug abuse, and he used and abused heroin. And so I just thought that was really fitting because my mom's always been the hero of my life, and I call her my heroine.
I just heard it. Nice.
So like I take after my father is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
But so he wasn't in the picture. Growing up with my mom, it was her and I living in an apartment. And you know what's so funny is black dudes love when I tell this joke. It's not a joke, it was real. Like I just say, me and my mom shared a 1-bedroom apartment room together, and I slept on the top bunk, but only because my grandmother was already sleeping on the couch in the living room. And I don't know why, but they've always found that really hysterical, and it's just true.
Because grandma got the good bed still.
Honestly, yeah, she did get the good bed. Like, she really did, dude. She slept like a fucking sack of flour just got dropped on the couch with a fucking natural light in her hands. And yeah, that was fun. I grew up in an apartment, and then my mom, after she had a few miscues with some boyfriends that just weren't the guy, then she met my stepdad. And it was, they had a really good relationship, and they still have a really great relationship. And obviously it's turned into them marrying, and he's my stepdad now. And I have some siblings from that. I've got a little brother that's 11. He's turning 12 in December. And then I've got my little sister who is 6, and she turns 7 in September. So like right now I still live at home with my parents. I'm kind of like a living Manny. I kind of like take care of my siblings to a certain extent. I mean, I got my own stuff going on too, but being a bigger brother is something that I've started finding a lot of really good responsibility in lately, just because, I do love setting a great example for them and showing them, like, comedy, I'm not banking on it working out. It's something I do love doing, and like you said, I would do it for free. And even more recently, like, I've been put on shows where they're like, here, I'm gonna pay you, what's your Venmo? And I'm like, especially that show I was telling you about where I was doing that variety show with Miles Francis at the House of Dirt in Dallas. Like, that guy who dressed up as a clown in fucking 90-something degree weather, and we were there for 5 fucking hours, and he was engaging with the audience the whole time, whether he was on stage or not before the show started. I told Miles, I was like, dude, take all my money and split it up and give it extra to everyone else. Like, that's not why I'm here. Thank you for having me on the show. I really fucking, like, I just love being a part of those environments.
That's real, man.
And honestly, I don't want that to be how it is forever, but like, I'm still learning. I'm still like sharpening all of my shit. And my material's not in a position right now where I can definitively say like, oh, I'm so proud of everything I've written. I'm not upset with it. I know it's
How much time do you think you have? What's the longest that you ever did?
I've almost done 20 minutes.
Okay.
I've almost done 20 minutes. And I could do 15 to 20 right now if I had to. Love to have like time in advance to prep for it, of course. But most of the shows I've been put on have been kind of like last minute fills, which is like, I'm elated to be a part of a show in that sentiment, as much as like, hey, this show's coming up in a few months. You ready? Like, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
so,
I'm like, if it's a show where I'm like, hey man, can you be here tonight? I'm like, hey man, I actually can, and I'm able to just pop up and do. I'm like, if I have to do I'm like, you can give me up to 15. I'm like, all right, I got it.
Yeah.
I feel good at 20.
yeah.
And that's what crowd work. But like my crowd work that's where I have the most fun.
Yeah, I really do love crowd work, and I feel like I am better at crowd work than I am writing material, but I don't want to be a comic that's like, oh, he needs an audience for him to have time to fill, right? And that got pointed out to me really early when I was doing comedy because kind of like you were saying, whenever you first get into it and you start thinking like, oh, like I feel like I should be able to just go up there and riff the whole time and kind of not specifically, but it's like, you know, when you're first starting and you don't have anything to pull from yet, that's kind of what you have to do in some extent. And that was where I started off. And you know, it was like, I felt like I was doing better than a lot of people were like telling me I was doing. And so when I'm seeking feedback, and I love feedback, bro, hurt my feelings, bully me, I don't care. You know, like people give me all sorts of opinion and it is mostly comics. So
I've seen you work through it though. Like, I mean, like going back to Reno's, I feel like there has been an account where somebody, you know, one of the comedians there, and that's where the place where they're just sometimes just randomly yelling shit, kind of like, the comical heckle, and you're cut back at them and stuff. You would held it down on stage, you know.
And nothing specifically either, which is kind of how I like to try to keep my comedy. Like I have people when I don't do what I'm supposed to and have stuff pre-planned of what I want to talk about, where I'll go out and I'll say something like I said, where one time I lied and told everyone like, oh, my parents are getting divorced, just to try to get the set back, where like I completely forgot about it. And the next week someone was like, bro, that joke you told about your parents getting divorced was fucking, it was insane. It was hilarious. And I'm like, what joke was that? I don't remember what joke that was.
Right? Where like you didn't have anything written down and you end up saying something like live.
Yeah, that just
and it hit so hard. And you're like, damn, bro. Like, there was a couple shit that I didn't even say that I was gonna have for my set today,
dude. And that's what I love about these open mics.
It's a dope feeling, though, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's like trying a skateboard trick for the first time and just landing it the first time you try it. You know, like I mean, I don't skateboard, but like, that's what I love about these Denton open mics, though, dude.
Could have fooled me.
Yeah, dude. You know, these legs right here, I'd just be skating.
I was like, I thought that was all padding built up,
I'm
bro.
more
Like
a Heelys kind of guy. You know, I'm not wearing them now, but like I like using the wheels in my shoes.
Oh yeah, bro. I can see you in some Heelys.
Or light up Yeezys. You know, I'm usually just one of those mall kiosk boys.
I mean, I would come down.
I know, me and my baby face.
Just take steps, dog. Like, get some Heelys and work your way to Skechers and shit.
Holy shit, dude. With a pair of Heelys and this baby face.
Skechers are not bad, man.
No, they're not. Snoop Dogg got Skechers now.
Yo, Skechers has stepped up because there's a couple lefties slip on like dress shoes. They're like dressy but casual.
Yeah.
And they kind of look like Cole Haans, but they're like you know the slip-ons, bro. I remember there was a
bro when Snoop Dogg made slip-ons gangster. Like, thank you, Skechers.
Thank you, Skechers.
That's the funniest thing,
right?
Though, bro.
Write that down, dude.
That is so fun. I have some material on Snoop Dogg already because I love watching throwback clips from MTV Cribs, and he was one of the first ones that I saw, dude, where he's just like. He's going through his refrigerator. It's the funniest fucking thing ever where he's like, you know me, man, I like to keep it gangster. And then he opens up his refrigerator. He's like, we got juices. We got liquids. We got pickles. We got butter. I'm like, bro, if those are your standards for being a gangster, Snoop Dogg, I'm a fucking G, bro. I got juices. I've got liquids.
You know that just brought me back. You ever watch the Chappelle Show?
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
Fucking dude. When he did his MTV Cribs bit.
Yes, dude. That's a classic.
And he's like everybody loves to show that sneaker game. All them kicks in the closet. Man, I got my own sweatshop, dog.
That is such a fucking classic, bro.
Dude,
it's genius.
Chappelle Show is like I got into sketch comedy because of the Chappelle Show. Like I still have it on YouTube. It's from when I was in college. You see me, my college gay face with hair, you know.
Oh, so gay.
Oh, dude, it was the gayest.
Yeah, I'm working on getting rid of mine. Don't worry.
Yeah, and then, but you know, I mean, he was just that catalyst, and then from there, just like watching like Killing Me Softly and going through his entire like special to special. There's not the only thing I regret in life right now is not seeing Dave Chappelle live.
Dude, my uncle got to see Dave Chappelle in Austin. No, actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't in Austin. I think it might have been at the Majestic here in Dallas. And he said that was in like 2001 or something crazy. And I was like, fucking, that's crazy. I didn't know you've ever seen Dave Chappelle. Oh, yeah. That same uncle has seen Dave Chappelle and Daniel Tosh. I'm like, those are great comics to have seen. That's great.
Even his new podcast, Tosh Shows, is
on YouTube. I love that one.
Yeah,
that's fucking
he's
hilarious.
good. Is that? Do you have a favorite podcast?
I do, but it's not so much a comedy podcast. It's
Say it in the shortest answer possible, dude.
okay. It's called Time Suck. It's a fun fucking podcast. There's a lot of
Time
episodes.
Suck.
Yeah,
What's
there's
the premise?
So it is hosted by a comic named Dan Cummins.
Okay.
He's funny as fuck.
No relation to Whitney Cummings?
No.
Okay.
But he does this thing where it's like there's over 400 episodes now, so there's way too much there. Like I'm not expecting anyone to get in on it, but any event you can think of, like tragedies, historical monuments, like assassinations, just crazy shit like that. He takes them and then he takes like basically academic articles written on the actual facts of those events, and then he breaks them down timelines, gives them sources, but he makes it entertaining. And like he'll introduce his own fucking characters and shit. It's what I listen to when I'm going to bed. Like I'll turn a new episode. I'm listening to him from start to finish because I kept up with them so well already that I was like, I just want to listen to all of it.
I was like, when I was in my hardest Kill Tony like binge, because I want to say like I only got into Kill Tony like maybe 3 years ago, and it wasn't more active until no, actually I would say like 4 years ago, but it wasn't more active until like maybe after my first year in comedy, and after that, bro, then I started like I after I got pretty much caught up from like the latter 100 episodes. Then I was backwards binging and then staying tuned for the newest episode and then just continue to backwards.
Well, that's
binge.
what my plan was with this podcast. But
So
then
seeing how it's like the development going down, right?
Yeah.
And then we're talking like through pandemic and all of his like bro, like that's where I see I'm like, yo, that never stop mentality and shit like that, and to see where it is now, like 600 and some episodes, and you know what? Maybe it'll take me 6,000 episodes to get there, but I'm like, yo, dude, I'm gonna keep going. I mean, it's I think that there's definitely just this fire and earnesty. I think. What's the big plan? Because you're right now working. You're what, 23?
I'm 24.
24,
Yeah.
and you're currently is still in the like service industry.
No, I work at an RV park now. I've worked
Doing
there.
what?
Well, I work in their office. Like,
I'm trying to
so
find out.
it's a private park, and like there's a marina and a restaurant inside and shit like that. Like it's a cool ass fucking like gig. Like I make an hourly that's solid, and then I also make commission off of the reservations that I book. So like it's pretty fucking solid. I told them when I interviewed, which I was kind of like maybe I shouldn't, because like I don't want to tell employers like, oh, I do comedy, you know, like. But I told them, I was like, oh, I'm just looking for a job where I can still keep doing comedy. And they were like, okay, what does that mean? I was like, if I can just work mornings. They're like, oh, fuck, yeah, you're good. We'll just put you on mornings for the most part. Like maybe I'll have a couple closing shifts here and there. But like, it's a fun little gig. It still helps me because there's maybe unsurprisingly, a lot of downtime there. So I get to read a lot of books. I get to write a lot. I get to just...
And that's great. Yeah.
It's really fucking fun. It's something I'm grateful for, and at this point in time too, no one there dislikes me. Everyone thinks that I contribute. Like I'm not fucking lying to them.
Yeah.
I work hard, I really do. But I'm just
You
trying
get the
to make
job
sure,
done, and you know that when the opportunity is available for you to be able to
kind of have my own time.
Yeah, work on your own. Yeah, exactly. Your own personal education.
Yeah, the people I work with there are so much more interested in having their Spotify playlist on the TV in the office, or they're watching a series on Netflix, or like there's literally that much downtime.
Oh yeah.
Where I've accidentally seen Wednesday on Netflix. Like
Isn't it so good?
It was really good. It's just
awesome.
like I didn't watch it on purpose. I was like, wow, this is great. I wish I wanted to watch it.
Jenna
Like,
Ortega, bro, she
Dude.
does amazing in that show.
yeah. That whole cast is
What's
really good.
What's your top series you're watching right now?
Ooh, that's a really good one. I just finished Norm Macdonald as a show on Netflix. I love like Black Mirror.
R.I.P.
type
Norm
shows.
Macdonald?
R.I.P. Norm Macdonald. I've been going through like an obsessive rabbit hole with him. I've read all the books I can on him. Like he's been in my head for a lot of these new jokes that
Oh,
I've been
yeah?
writing. Yeah.
Hey, you like him, huh?
Oh yeah. I love Norm Macdonald. You know the thing I love about Norm Macdonald is
How's that?
is he's a deeply closeted gay man.
Oh, you don't
Yeah,
say.
and I've got this gay face right here. You know?
yeah,
this gay
I can
face.
see that.
Yeah, well,
I started declining because I was losing the bit.
dude, honestly, I'm not even good at that impression. I'll tell you an impression I am good at though, that I pranked my mom with the other day. She called me just to fuck with her. I picked up my phone and I answered like I was an Alexa, and I was like, hello, and thank you for calling Alexa. And like dude, I swear to God, I was like, for Amazon services, please press 1. For Daddy Bezos, please press 2. I'm sorry, that's an invalid response. Goodbye. And then I didn't hang up, and I just let the phone stay there, and then it just disconnected. My mom never said a word. And of course, I didn't know this was not the day to do this to my mom. She called me back, and I answered, and I was like, hello? And she was like, your phone is fucking weird. And like, was done with me. She was so done. It was a lot of fun. I love doing impressions. Impressions are so fun. It's actually something I've never done in stand-up yet.
man.
But I love
I
doing it.
have a couple like impression jokes that I've done. There's like try and fit like, one-liners and stuff, but yeah, Kermit the Frog here.
Kermit, like me and my gay face and my
What?
Canadian voice, you know. It's
Don't say.
there's a, oh hey Miss Piggy, how are you doing over there?
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
that. And there's Mickey Mouse is easy. Fuck Mickey.
Boy.
Oh boy, look
Yeah.
at Mickey Mouse. All that type of shit.
I see. You know, you're missing there's a little
Some
bit.
depth. I need
Yeah,
some bass.
There's some depth.
Bass me up, baby. No, I'm
yeah.
just-
I bet you'd love that.
I'm really good at mini. No, I'm a better mini.
That I believe. And it like, okay, so I want to ask this because so you obviously made jokes about people very much assuming that you're
I'm so
gay,
glad
right?
that we're talking about this.
And I remember at the time when I first met you, you would have your girl
Passed as gay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
you used to have your past lady,
Yeah.
that was along with you. That has like since ended, and you're like back in the mode. So how long you been single?
Since March.
Since March.
Yeah, it's not really been like anything that I've been like actively focusing on though, because
Right. I mean, I think that I'm not gonna. We don't have to go into details of whatever the reason was. But I mean, you guys were together for a significant amount of time.
5 years. It would have
Yeah.
been 6 years.
That's
this
longer
July.
than how long me and my fiance have been together.
That's
You know what I mean?
crazy. Yeah.
And again, it's like I think from a lot of the challenges that you were saying, I'm like, yeah, dude, I totally get it, you know. And I think either way, how has the momentum been coming back in the single game? You
It
came and
hasn't,
visited
bro.
me. You visited me at Library Bar one Friday night, like right before I started DJing, and you were like possibly gonna meet up with a lady, but I don't know if anything serious is happening. But it seems like you're definitely not. You're not looking to make a relationship happen right now.
Yeah, like so honestly, that relationship with me and my ex-girlfriend, it ended really well. Like it was very healthy, and like her and I we don't talk regularly, but we'll keep in touch because like to be fair, one of the things that I told her, which is like in every reason that we broke up, I would run it by her and be like, hey, like I've been seeing this from our relationship and there's not been any progress made on it. Do you agree? You know, like, and I ask, and she's like, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And like, whether it was her fault or not, it's like, we kind of came to this understanding where we were in the relationship at that point in time, no matter our feelings for each other, wasn't fair for one another.
Right.
And I told her, I was like, look, if we're having these little withdrawals from each other right now, where we're not resolving issues for one another and we're not actively working on the relationship with each other together, we're wasting each other's time. That's not fair, you know? And so with that in mind, and when we broke up, I was like, I think it would just be best for us to work on our own shit. Like, I've got my own stuff I need to be doing. You've got your own stuff you need to be doing. And so as far as that's really gone outside of that, it's been me really just connecting with my friends, like my old friends that I haven't talked to in a long time. And then, like, of course, there's those mutual contacts that come in between those as well, where you just are like, oh, like, you know, that girl that I was supposed to hang out with that night when I came and saw you, like her and I were friends in terms of like a friend group. And it was her and I trying to hang out with each other by ourselves for like one time just to, you know, say hi, really. And so it didn't end up working out, which to me, I was like, you know, I just got out of a 5-year-long relationship. I'm literally just socializing, like just seeing people, saying hi.
That's the right way to do it too.
And and I think it's only fair to the entire scope of like anyone who could be next that I end up dating, or the past relationship I just got out of. And
So let me ask you this then: how does it feel like being in today's realm of dating after being
capped for so long. You know what I mean? Like coming back into the
Yeah.
dating game, after 5 years, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, dude, like if a dude goes to prison for 5 years and comes, you know what I mean?
He has a 6-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
right.
I know exactly what you mean.
But so that's even then it's like, just take it one step. You're nothing,
Yeah.
not forcing anything. But
Yeah.
I think you're on a really good path and really gonna find. I think if you haven't already, go on a trip by yourself.
That's so fun to think about because like I've been it's fun to think about, not fun to do. It's only fun to think about. Like it's so fun to think about. I've been thinking about taking trips and then I just stay where I am all the time. I just been thinking about like, man, I wonder what Prague's like this time of year. I bet it's pretty. I'll never know.
It took me a minute. I'm like, this motherfucker. It's
I
fun to
should.
think about.
No, I need to take a trip though. I do. Like
You need to do it like this. What I was trying to. Oh shit. When I was trying to gauge, what I was trying to get to, was this is the perfect opportunity. I think this is where a lot of things change for me. And I was single for like 3.5 years before I met Pilar in the most unforeseen circumstances of me moving here from Chicago and all whatever. But I think I would say like maybe after my previous relationship, and then that's when I started that 3.5 years being single. Like, and this is I went to therapy as well too. But I like really found out how to like be my own best friend and have a good time by myself.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I do that so well. Like you see me very rarely, if ever, like coming in with the crew or walking in with anybody.
Yeah,
or, you know what I mean? And like I would learn to go to movies by myself, but like taking trips by myself. And it's like that opportunity. It's like, I don't know, man. It's exciting. It's thrilling. It is, just you're putting yourself more in a vulnerable situation in environments that is very, unknown, right, to you. And
every time I thought about it, I got chills. Like, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know that I'm ready for that, but I want to so bad."
It's so good. That's perfect. Well, I mean, start slow. Maybe go to Austin, bro.
Well, I will say I think I have started slow. I've been to a movie by myself before, and that was interesting.
shit,
I
what'd you
lost
watch?
my mind, dude. I saw the movie Licorice Pizza by myself. This was like a year or 2 years ago,
What the
dude.
fuck is that?
Dude, don't even look.
You
it
went
up.
to a movie theater to watch this no movie?
Okay, but at the
Damn,
time,
you were like, maybe this was your first step. So you're like,
so yeah, I was really
nobody's
just
gonna
like,
be in this movie theater. Like,
bro. There was one other guy who was jerking off the whole time. No, I'm
holy fuck,
dude. That's the
Holy
clip
shit.
that I love right there. Your face, right?
Bro.
You were like, bro, you just watched. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, bro, I told you. I was taking
Oh,
pictures.
you
I
have the
sent 'em to him.
face that could believe that statement, motherfucker.
Hey, all right. Well, I'm glad that we got to this though, because I was looking for another gay face opportunity for me to be like, the funniest thing about the way I look and also pairing it with how I sound. Thank you already. Was like, okay, so when I saw that movie, I worked at Cinemark's corporate office, so I had free movies as much as I wanted to.
Oh, shit.
So I went and was like, I'll gamble. And apart from that,
Gamble.
so
It's your idea of gambling.
Yeah, bro.
Fucking CBD, everybody.
yeah, bro,
It's-
thinking about traveling and gambling on movies. So I went to so I used to work at Cinemark's corporate office call center, and like I got called ma'am on the phone constantly, right? The only thing that's worse than that happened recently, like I still get called ma'am on the phone from time to time, and it happens, I'll say from time to time.
This
That's
might
me
be
being-
the episode that
This-
like fucking this might blow me
This
up.
is called the Metro Icon My Gay Face podcast.
They're like,
today.
yo, this Shawn Kay was talking to this bus driver lunch lady for like fucking
No, it looked like a cross between Chris Farley and Ellen.
yeah, but it's like Caleb. You're like,
Yeah.
This might really get in. Oh my god.
The only thing worse than being called ma'am on the phone was when I was at my job now, when I took a phone call, and I'm not joking, this was Mother's Day. Someone wished me a happy Mother's Day. And you know what sucks is they didn't even call me ma'am. So like I thought as a straight white dude.
That's like the next level. Though. You know what I
dude,
mean?
that
Where
hurt.
you almost expect the ma'am,
Yeah.
and you didn't know couldn't get any worse.
It couldn't.
No, Happy Mother's Day,
Yeah,
bitch.
It was something along the lines of, "Is your boat ramp open?" And I was like, "Yeah, our boat ramp's open." They're like, "All right, cool. Hey, and you have a Happy Mother's Day." And I was like, "What?" Like, and then they hung up already. Like, I didn't even get to ask a question.
Oh my God.
Yeah, dude, it was no. Thank you,
Bro,
ma'am. I
you
appreciate
not
it.
even that statement says so much. It's not. You're not just a man, bro. You a man with man. You're a man with a fucking deformed pussy a little bit.
I guess so. I just have a really
opened up uterus.
Yeah.
You know.
I made the joke that I recently started going by he, him because before that I was just the woman with a really large clitoris. Yeah. You can tell why I dropped it. Right? Not the joke, the clitoris. Like I'm just a man now.
Yeah, I believe you. I think
He
so. Well, Caleb, we're at an hour and a half. And I know you said you devoted your night for this and stuff, which I appreciate, and I appreciate you coming by. I know I want to start it later, but I had to patch up my puppy war wounds. Mojo's I love that little nugget, but man, he does one thing that pisses me off, which is go under the motherfucking bed, and this is the war thing from that. But
oh yeah,
he was good. And did we see I don't know if you noticed the moment we had at the break when he finally came out the crate, like his timeout.
Yeah,
like when he like kneeled down, and then Alyssa was right by the cage, and then he just like as soon as he like takes a minute, and then he like gets up and then just like walks right past her, and then just goes and puts his head into my neck. He's like, the way his whimper was so soft, and he was like, "I'm sorry." It literally felt like that. I'm like, "It's okay, buddy."
Yeah,
I'm okay. Just stop going under the bed, and we won't have problems.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it's just,
and he'll only find out one way by fucking around, you know.
Yeah.
And like you too, but hopefully yours heals.
Oh yeah, when
And
I get mad, I mean they'll tell you, like if you were to ask them, like, oh, who's Mojo's favorite, they'll point to me. I'm the motherfucker that like
He respects you.
Oh, dude, I discipline him the most, and I will like get really mad at him, but I talk to him the most.
Yeah.
And I really communicate. And then I also, he knows that I've dictated his schedule. Like I'm the one that kind of set the schedule, and then they've all kind of been
adhered to it and
Right.
helped reinforce it.
Right.
Well, that's a good thing. I think that's a great thing, especially since I felt like you're trying to get us off of the podcast, to say, like, if we're going to talk one more thing about comedy is discipline. Be fucking disciplined. Be disciplined. You have to hold yourself to something. You have to hold yourself to something in a disciplined manner and fashion. And if you don't find a discipline that produces, find a new discipline. Like something. You've got to do something to keep your mind in check.
Find, like, even if it's not something, and we live in a world where you can monetize off anything, bro.
Bro, $5, I'll send you a picture of my foot later today.
No.
Okay. Well,
bro, I promise you, no matter how gay your face may get,
I got some hot feet.
My fiance's feet will always be the best feet I ever see.
I will put a candidacy in for having the nicest feet for a man.
The first time I licked my girl's toes, she did not see that coming, because she was like, "Oh, that's gross." Like, you know what I mean? Or like they don't.
I want that to be my new text message tone. Every time I get a text, I hear Shawn Kay go.
And then after that, if I bring it up, I'm like, "I baby, you want me to lick those toes right there?" And she's like, she'll say no, but she's like, "No."
You need to start giving it a funny, like, you want me to take those. You want me to take those piggies to the fucking water park again?
And she'll be like, "Piggies? What are you talking about, piggies, babe?" What pig? Are you calling my toes piggies? The fat? Are you calling my fat toes? Like, she'll learn how to do it, because she doesn't. That's why so much of why I don't want to get into all this, but like the vast difference, especially like our pop culture references, right? There are movies, like right now we're in a big movie kick. And so that's why I'm like, okay, maybe we'll do like a late, if the kids are, because it's summer, you know?
Yeah.
But I've been showing them movies like that I grew up with in like the 90s.
Hell yeah, dude. That's essential for a childhood.
Bro.
Yeah.
And I just showed them like Waterworld.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like rewatching this shit. You remember with Kevin Costner? Bro, I'm like, if they don't fucking remake that shit.
Yeah, with someone who's not.
Especially with the Mad Max saga going so hard.
Yeah.
It's Mad Max on the water, yo. And there's a way that if they were smart, they could essentially make Mad Max into the next like water world.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about anything like that. There's a lot of really franchises that like they should and need to reboot. Like, I mean, we could go through a whole nother podcast episode of what should be rebooted, but
I might invite. You know what? I'm definitely gonna bring you back when I'm in the new space, like as one of my first few guests.
I would love to be back. This is fun. I've enjoyed watching. Whether it's clips
You
or
haven't
full.
watched if you're watching what my fucking podcast because you haven't watched shit.
No, I have watched clips. Yes, I'm sorry, but like you text me yesterday to come
I don't hold
on,
anything to you, dude.
and so, no, I'm not even upset. Like I'm just saying, like to my own discretion. I was like, yesterday I made this plan with you, and I was like, this morning I was like, let me figure out what I'm getting myself into, you know, because I don't want to show up just completely like, all right, show me, you know, like. And kind of to a certain degree, that's what this was. But I mean, you know, there's
what
always.
episode did you watch the most of?
I watched the most of you and Atharva's episode.
Ah,
I love Atharva.
that was fun.
He's
Dude,
so funny.
did you watch this most recent Kill Tony episode on Monday?
No, I did not.
Dog. Okay, so man, I'm trying to find. I need to find the time to make this video.
Okay.
Right, but I posted so Cam Patterson had said a joke on Kill Tony. I remember I texted Atharva like literally on my drive home.
I know the joke. I know what you're talking about.
The $5 haircut, like the
it's like,
haircut.
I can't be donating money
homeless
to people.
haircuts, the homeless haircuts, right?
I've been hearing Atharva say that joke at TK's for a long time.
Yeah, I've been like since I started. I've known Atharva from the beginning. But anyways, Cam Patterson. I'm like, yo, that is weirdly close.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's more than just the premise. And so, anyways. Somebody made a post about it on Reddit and it started to gain some traction.
I saw that.
I even I made a post about it.
Yeah.
Tagged Cam Patterson and then he messaged me.
Really?
Cause he and to the message thread. And so I was gonna post those screenshots. But honestly, super respectful.
I
he
wouldn't
was like, yo,
imagine
like
anything else.
like he's a real fucking G because honestly, like Cam Patterson is like he talked about it in this newest episode.
Yeah.
I'll get to the funniest part at the end, but he pretty much said he's like, man, I heard his set. Man, I was pretty fucking close, and I don't know who this guy is, and I'm like, I was pretty damn close. To call that shit out, yo, real fuck, right? Yo, mad respect.
Sure, yeah.
I'm like, yo, you just, give me a rock, I'll pay it.
Yeah.
But the funniest fucking part, I started dying. I texted Atharva immediately afterwards, and I'll show you on my phone. But like Cam Patterson's talking about it. He's like, yeah, man, some other comedian, man. His name is Farva, some Indian shit.
Wow.
And I'm like, and I literally texted it Farva, and I was like, yo, you a Farva or some Indian
That's
shit,
crazy.
and just dying laughing, dude.
Hey, Atharva, that's
And
get your shit. For real.
it's he hasn't publicly announced it yet, but I know I can say it now because this will be after that. Gonna be on a show with Cam Patterson.
Atharva? Okay, good.
I think July 11th.
Hell yeah.
Somewhere.
Well, you know what's funny is I know that he was on a show. I don't think it wasn't the secret show, but it was like another show in Austin around a Kill Tony secret show where the lineup was crazy and Atharva was on it. And I was like, bro, this is fucking fire. Like, go pair this up. And it was like the day of. He was like, do you want to come with me? And I was like, yes, but I can't, like, on such short notice. But it sucks too because, like, especially since Drew blew up the way that he did, like, I don't know, like, there's a certain aspect when someone hits something like that where when they take off, it's like I don't want to talk with them differently because of that, you know? And so then, like, I don't, and then I was like, hey, bro, one of these next times you go to Austin, like, let me know, I want to go. And, like, if I can, I want to come with you, but, like, I can't say that. And I didn't realize I shouldn't say that to him right after some shit like this. Like, hey, can I come with you? And then I'm like, there's my autism. Just fucking like, hey, can I come with you to Austin? And it's like, not, but the thing is before this, it's like when he would go with Ivory and like Jacob Cannon would go like way back when I first started, they'd be like, hey, if you ever want to come, let me know. And now things have changed, and it makes me look worse. And I don't like that.
Right. And it's good for you to have that awareness.
And it wasn't intentful, you know. It was after the fact where it happened, where I'm like, damn, dude, I need to let him just have his shit. And know that if he ever needs me. I'm
it's
here.
the same thing. It's like, dude, like I've seen every single time I've gone there, they've always been there pretty much. The only time I didn't see Ivory and Drew was the day that his show was airing.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that, every single
For
time.
good reason too.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about Kill Tony is too.
I was on the way when Drew texted me. He's like, make sure you watch tonight.
Hell yeah.
And I was like, bro, I'm on my way to Austin. You're telling me you were picked and you didn't tell me before? Because that was my, dude, I'll tell you, every single time I went to Kill Tony, I was like, I'm more than likely not going to hear my name, but the only name I want to hear is Drew Nickens. And then anyways, I wasn't there that Monday, but every single comedian I talked to that Monday that Drew Nickens' name got pulled, fucking the entire bar at Poor Choices, outside and inside,
just went
fucking
bananas.
lit up.
I bet, dude, and that's deserved. I love that for him. I'm so happy for him on that. I got to work with Casey Rocket not long ago. It was a couple months ago. I
met him a few times. He's from Chicago. He's a real cool ass dude.
He did this was again day of. I felt like a fucking dunce for this because like I bring my camera, I take pictures or I do videography for a set or whatever, and like, you know, he was like, can you come out and record me? I was like, I'll be there. It was day of. It was like an hour before the fucking show. And when I record people's sets, like I've recorded Des O'Neill's set for him at Addison. I've done like a handful of different comics. I've recorded their set for them. And like, I'm proud of the people I've worked with and like the quality it's turned out to be. I show up with my fucking Rode, like Go Link Me Mini or whatever, the thing that clips to you with the, and I have like a lav mic.
Yeah.
I bought all of that audio equipment for him and like, he just didn't end up wanting to use it. And I had never tried the audio, like the stock camera microphone before. And so then I was like, I started freaking out because I had already left. I didn't grab my shotgun microphone. Like I just wasn't as prepared as I could have been. And then I showed up and it like, I fucking feel bad. I stressed Casey Rocket out hella. I was telling him before, like right before his set when I'm there, I'm like, bro, I'm so sorry. I don't have my blah, 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 blah. I was just going bananas because I was like, I had already gotten to a point too where when I'm watching Kill Tony, I'm watching it on my fucking phone. So like seeing Casey Rocket's face on my phone, like there was a little bit of me when I saw him in person and he asked me to work with him loosely, kind of. I was like, I looked at him and I was like, at
least you can chalk it up to one good opportunity.
Yeah, you know, and I basically
even though
swung
it'll probably
and
never
missed.
happen again.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it was a lot of fun. He would, dude, an environment in a actual club venue that was just wow, insane.
Yeah, he's different. And dude, like I one time caught him smoking a cigarette, and then he had just came out of the mothership, and this was before he became a regular, and he was filling in for William Montgomery because he was out of town, and so he filled in for like one of the regular spot blocks, right? And he was just outside smoking a cigarette, and then we just kind of rechatted it up again. And I'm like, hey man, congrats, dude. I'm like, I'm sure it'll be like more. Like a couple weeks later, then he was, or not, well, I was like 2 months later, then he was a regular. I'm like, dude, this is fucking so good.
I love seeing that for people, especially when they like really know how to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
it's so fucking cool.
Well, listen, man, I love you, Nick, because I know that we can definitely
chat it up.
Yeah, exactly. It's without a doubt. I'm gonna encourage you that maybe you should start that podcast.
I've been thinking about it.
Yeah, you definitely got.
If I do start it, it's going to be called On the Brain with Caleb B. Davis, and it's probably just going to be audio, to be honest with everyone, just because it'll be easy
CBD
enough.
brain
Or OTB with CBD, On the Brain with CBD. Yeah, and I've got a song already for it, and like I'm working with people to get a logo for it. So like it's gonna happen.
You don't even need to work with people, bro. There's AI programs.
I've been doing all the posters for all my open mics, and well, at least until I started working with Denton Comedy Spot at Graffiti Pasta. But like all the mics I was running and the showcases I was running, I mean, they all looked the same. But like if you've got a theme you're running with, kind of, or like what is you at that point, keep it, you know. And so I was doing all my own flyers and posters and shit. So I could do it, but there are people that I've networked with in the meantime in comedy and outside of comedy that I'm like, you know, I would actually prefer to outsource this because I can, you know. I just feel like there's people that I can trust more than myself, just to try to keep the same pacing for myself. Let myself relax and enjoy what each moment of being a little shithole fucking one-bagger comic, you know, in Dallas is like. I enjoy it. It's a part of the grind, and whether I end up ever going any touring on it, that's fucking cool. I would be happy and elated for myself, but that's not where my mind is right now. You know, like you were saying, there are priorities, there are steps, and like patience is kind of a key aspect of accomplishing any goal. Takes time, you know?
Well, so seeing as you haven't seen any of my episodes, I end the episode the same way, where I have the guests leave off with a final quote, sentiment, phrase that they would leave out to the world. You're going to look into that camera right there. That's your camera. And it pretty much, the way I like to frame it is that if this could possibly be the last thing you ever said on camera or audio, whatever it is, go ahead and leave off that message to the world.
Crack gets a bad rap. No, I'm just joking. That was Atharva's, and I did that just because we talked about Atharva and his joke. No, I won't do that to you, Atharva. I promise. Atharva. No. So I'll just kind of rehash what I said earlier. Like I am a big believer in that there's not one right way to do comedy. Like, and I'm not someone who can tell you that from experience. It's just someone who has to believe it while they're trying it themselves. But everything that you're doing, make it comfortable for yourself and do it smart to where you can sustain it rather than just hitting it. Because if you can do it in a way where you can maintain your priorities and stay comfortable while you do it, that's the only way you're going to be able to actually achieve authentic humor from your own perspective and be able to perform it in such a manner, in my beliefs in comedy. So like, that's what I'm going to say. I'm a comedy pro guy. My life has kind of been devoted to comedy for a long time outside of performing, you know, enjoying it, appreciating it, respecting it. And that's why I love how I met you that way and all these other people that we've had the pleasure of being able to talk about. So thank you for having me. I do look forward to being back. And this is a fun fucking podcast. I hope nothing but success for it. And I know that with Shawn Kay, the way that he runs his shit and how driven he is, it's only a matter of time. So thank you again.
And that's all he's going to say.
Hell yeah, that's my night.
Yeah.